1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
And that is not visible, right? And you say to somebody, it will always come up in conversations. For instance, if you said to the person, oh, do you know, I feel really tired today, they might suggest perhaps it's because of what you're going through, you know, in a nice way, in a loving way. They might. So for instance, I'll give you an example. So I've got a condition called sickle cell, which you inherit or you're born with. So, and it just makes you anemic. And some people have severe cases of it where they have to go through blood transfusion. Some even have bone marrow treatment or whatever. But I don't seem to have it that severe. But I do have I wouldn't call it a mild case because it all depends on how you feel, don't it? So I do have times when I'm just like really, really weak and tired, and I just leave everything. So I just do the minimum that I can during that period. And sometimes I'd mention it to friends, but I don't mention it to all my friends. I would say, you know, they would say, so for instance, I say, well, I've not been feeling very well. They would say, oh, what's wrong with you? These people, they just ask, they just say, oh yeah, what's wrong with you? Have you got a cold? Have you got flu? You know, they want to know, don't they? And I say, and I just narrow it down, just say, well, you know, I've just been really tired. Oh, maybe you need a rest. But the ones that know would say, oh, would that be because of your sickle cell? And then I feel vulnerable then, you know, because they, you know. Yeah. Well, I do use it to my advantage. So for instance, somebody would say, do you want to come out with us? And I'll go, nah, I'm tired. Oh yeah, I forgot you got sickle cell, you know. I'll be like, yeah. So sometimes
everybody lies, you see. You tell a liar.
Yeah, everybody does. But the truth is, I do have the condition. Now it's for you to find out whether I'm using it or not, you know. But yeah, it's just so there is an aspect of vulnerability there where you know you feel like you're being patronized. I think a little bit. There's a little bit of patronage.
Do you
there.
really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I feel like that sometimes. I do feel like, you know, they'd say, oh yeah, do you want to do this? I've played football all my life, and then sometimes they want to go for a game of football and they'd say, well, we don't know if we should invite Emmy. I'm like, yeah, invite me, you know. I'll be the goalkeeper, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I do, yeah, there are times when there's a sort of vulnerability comes in where, you know, you think, well, but there's nothing you can do. We're just humans. It's gonna happen, you know. I mean, I might find myself doing it to somebody else. I might say, oh yeah, you know, you can't walk that far anyway because you know, because of your knee or your back or whatever, you know. So yeah, there's bound to be that.
And I think there's also
The leader of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything customers and fund the aim of everything customers.
It's gonna happen, you know. I mean, I might find myself doing it to somebody else. I might say, oh yeah, you know, you can't walk that far anyway because you know, because of your knee or your back or whatever, you know. So yeah, there's bound to be that.
And I think there's also, again, another thing would be the cultural, societal expectations of us, which, you know, we tend to think we have free lives, but of course it's far from that. We're very regulated in almost everything we do, but there is pressure upon us, I think, to conform to what the culture, what our society wants. For example, if we're going to a function, if we're going to a wedding, then it wouldn't probably be appropriate to go along in your Bermuda shorts and a straw hat or something. We tend to, it might be funny, or if you're feeling rebellious, but actually we would go along probably fairly smartly dressed. I mean, a woman might feel going to a wedding that, as women do feel, I'm sure, they mustn't outshine the bride. You know, they mustn't wear something that would take the attention away from the bride. So again, that's a cultural expectation of them, which probably most of us, men and women, we adhere to those things because we don't really want to step outside of that safe comfort zone. And another element of this, of course, that maybe we don't ultimately know fully ourselves, because we very rarely, in reality, very rarely step outside the comfort zone, which is, some would say, which is where real life begins. It's where we begin to know what we're capable of and so on. But I mean, that's going off at a bit of a tangent. But so, yeah, cultural expectations, even the old gender expectations, for example, okay, times have changed, but maybe women who do juggle their lives when they've got a young family, they take the kids to school, pick them up, they've got a part-time job to help the finances, you know, they've got to do so many things. And sometimes they probably feel, well, God, why do I have to adhere to this role? And all my partner does is go to work and have an easy time of it. Well, that's probably not true. There's the culture pressure on a man as well to provide for his family, a legal requirement in that sense very often. And to be, you know, the stronger person physically. And both genders, both sexes have their own expectations, but we're going to be pretty brave to step outside of those. So perhaps to bring this to a sort of conclusion, I would say that in the words of, I don't know whether it was a song or a story, but all the world's a stage. I think it might be a song, but it is so true. We are, life is a stage for us. We are acting roles, and you think we have lots of different relationships. We might be a child, we might be a son or a daughter, a parent, a sister, brother, an uncle, an aunt, all the different relationships, a friend, a colleague, and so on. And with each one, we're wearing a sort of different hat.
Yeah.
You know, we act a bit differently to most, and life is lived in all those roles that we're acting out, creating or perpetuating an image of ourselves that we want to consciously or otherwise perpetuate. So the thing is, do we ever really know where the acting ends and true life, real life begins? There's often an overlap with that, and you know, as long as we're out in public, even, you know, in a shop, we are still maintaining an image. You know, how we're dressed, what we look like, our approach to people in the shop or anywhere else. So yeah, it's an interesting one, which ultimately, to come back to the question, do we ever really ever get to know another human being?
Of our gang will make the show go with a bang and fund the aim of everything cast us and fund the aim